What's up, guys? Jeff from Texas Motor Works, and before I get into this bike, I want to say thank you. I took a look at the number of subscribers to the channel now, and I was shocked that many people subscribe, actually care about what I do. Well, I figured half of them probably care, the other half probably clicked subscribe accidentally, but it's still good. I'm good with that. Anyway, RZ350, if you've been following along, you know this bike pretty close to a basket case. It was, well, let's just say at this point, I didn't expect to go this deep into it when I first got it. But after having it a day or two, I was like, you know what, this is going to be a complete teardown. So this is going to be a nut and bolt restoration, which I've never done. I've come close. There's been a couple of bikes that were almost nut and bolt restorations, but this one, I'm going to have an intimate short-term relationship with each and every single bolt on this bike. So where am I at? Well, I just got the rear suspension all back together. I reshot the swing arm, and I kind of refinished the shock. The shock was in good shape, not leaking, hadn't been cranked down a lot. So I kept that on there. It's a relatively low mile bike, so I think that'll be okay. I'll probably tighten it up a little bit. It's kind of cool on the RZ how they do it. There's a little adjuster here that works on a belt, and you can tighten it. I set it at 1. I think that's what it was when I got it, but it'll go all the way up to 5. I've got progressive fork springs coming for the front. I did new fork seals, and I polished the tubes out because they were pretty ratty. And then if you know these bikes, you know that this bike started as a red, white, and blue 84. So you know the frame was red, and the wheels on those the insets of them are charcoal. So these I had the outer lips polished, and then painstakingly went through and redid the charcoal and gold, because that's the color scheme this bike's going to be, the black and yellow. The only color for these bikes, really. If you're fortunate enough to have one of each, great. But if you're just going to have one, or if you're restoring one and you can do it, black and yellow is, to me, is the one to have. So that meant I had to get the frame powder coated, and lesson learned, whenever you get something powder coated, you got to run bolts inside anything threaded. Otherwise the powder coat gets in there, and guess what? Your bolt's not going to get back in there. But one screw up I did do is I went too far out on 2 of them, and what happens is the powder coat's on the outside, the other side of the bolts. When you try and undo the bolt, snap, crackle, and pop right there. But I get that out. I did 2 of them. Lesson learned. Won't ever do that again. But so powder coated frame, had the foot pipe holders polished. What's next? Well, fork springs are coming. I'll put those in, get the fork oil, get that all tightened up, and then I've got the gauge cluster refinished that'll go on here. Really the next step is going to be, I obviously put the back wheel on it, and I'll be doing that tomorrow. That's almost done. It's all painted. I just painted the carrier for the sprocket, and that's going to be ready to go. So tomorrow the bike will be a rolling chassis. But going forward, next thing's going to be brakes, and that's going to be everything. So seals, new hoses, new rebuilt master cylinders. That's going to be a chore in itself. Once that's taken care of, I'll probably do the electrical harness in conjunction with doing the brakes. But the next step will be putting the motor in, and pleasant surprise, the motor has 130 pounds of compression, so the top end's good. Fingers crossed that the body, the transmission's good. We will see. Nice thing about this bike is if I get the motor in it and it's wonky, I can take it out. And I was prepared to do a full rebuild on the motor, but I want to see if I even need to do that, because that's going to be substantial if I do have to go that route. Excuse me, something about working on 2 strokes, and really a good practice on any bike, but you can see the Loctite. I'm Loctiting every bolt and nut on here just because of the vibration. Don't want things to come loose. This was the tail light bracket. You can see I repaired it. It was broken right right there. So I repaired that. So I got that. Just a lot of little nuts and bolts coming, but that's where we're at. It's ready for paint. It's going to be going out to paint. I ordered my decals, and should be going to paint in a week or so, and starting to look like a motorcycle. So that's that. All right, guys, stay tuned. Take care.